Okay, here we go. I hit the wrong button there at the end there. So now we're coming along now to the Bank of America building, the Baltimore Trust building, the skyscraper, which I am too close to here. Now I am too far away. Anyway, I love this building. It also kind of has a modified sort of H shape with a tower coming up out of it. And remember what they said about it, built in 1929. It's still the second tallest building, $3 million. All right. The building's exterior is decorated with carved Romanesque human and animal images, just to refresh our memories here as we go forward. Now, let me bring up. So when I came across that, I was walking. Now I crossed the street, right? Because I knew I was, making my way towards this building, which I didn't know what it was yet. I just knew it was the skyscraper. I had no idea what its name was. And you'll see how many pictures I took before I hopped across the street to get a full picture of this doorway. So this is the Baltimore Street entrance to the Bank of America building. And look at the size of it, right? It's absolutely huge. For what purpose would you need to build an entrance this tall? It doesn't make any sense. All right. If it was its intended purpose, 1929, right? This was built and allegedly designed in the late 20s. Who knows how long it takes to build them. And again, this thing went up in 18 months, they said. 3 mil. So I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe I'm walking along, and the Beehive is first right here, right, on the ground. And so we're going to follow all the way up and around and back down. And then I'm going to talk about this door, too. And this door is not quite, like maybe up to here would be like 12 feet, but this is more like a 7-foot door, It's not extremely tall. I bet the door, and it leads to another door inside, which I did not, you can see this is open a crack. And these are metal. They're beautiful, too. I can't wait to get to those. So anyway, this is what the door looks like from across the street, right? And now let's get to the show. So we start with the Beehive, and look, it's in a planter, and and so the planter is putting forth its very own Jack and the Beanstalk kind of vine here, right? And the first fruit on the vine is the honeybee, all right, or is certainly the Beehive. All right, and we got 3 bees on this one, and there's your, I guess, I don't know what kind of flower these would be, but definitely, I mean, there's no doubt about what that is, right? So let's see, I can't remember if I got them all in the right order. Next up is this. If this is in the right order, I don't know. But one thing I want to keep in mind, and I want you guys to keep in mind too, is that they're telling a story here. All these figures go up the wall, and they're telling a story, and a lot of them repeat, but some don't, which is also interesting to me. So here we have one. The next, if I'm not mistaken, this is the next one up from that Beehive. All right, it's this guy either holding a burning building in one hand and screaming about it, crying about it, and protecting and shielding this one in his other. But I want you to notice that he's sitting crouched and fit inside this bulb, right? Because this is part of the vine that's growing, right? So this is a flower or a bulb or a fruit of some sort of this vine, all right? And is this the story of the Baltimore fire being told here? Or is this the story of some other catastrophe? And what building is he saving here? It looks almost like the one that was just right next door, doesn't it? Which is kind of interesting. Okay, so let's continue on up. All right, there he is again. Above him is the winged hourglass. And the winged hourglass is a heavily Masonic symbol. And this is what I was talking about in the last video about the Roman and Greek connection, right? With like the Tudors, because the rose is everywhere, and the rose shows up in a lot of places on this building. And it showed up. I don't know if I brought it up, but now thinking back, it was above the two figures sitting on the B&O Railroad, the Mercury and Progress. And I wonder, is Progress a real one? Is that real, or do they invent him? You know, and make him look like a bad Rocky Balboa statue up there. But anyway, so it's interesting that when I was, years ago getting into, digging deep, 20 plus years ago, all the Masonic stuff led to Egypt. It was all about Egypt. But now I'm finding at least all in Baltimore here, I'm finding so many Masonic and Greco-Roman connections. It's very interesting to me. And I do have some information brought up about the Beehive and the honeybee later. Now, again, this one is a very interesting picture to me. I'm not sure what this is clearly the compass that he's holding in one hand. I'm not sure what this tool is here. Drafting tool, maybe. What is this? T-square. I don't know what this could be, but it's big, and it looks like it's probably pretty heavy too. Like this to me looks like it was made out of, the way I'm thinking about it is made out of metal stuff. But what's happening over here? Is this a city in ruin and under destruction as well? I don't know what he's carrying here. It's almost like an inner tube he's got wrapped around, like he put his arm through. He's carrying a bundle of cords or rope or something, I don't know. But again, I want you to notice he has to crouch in and fit inside this thing. That's symbolic of what? I don't know. Why couldn't they just design the scene to play out and not crouch everything in, and it's not that way with with just the ones with people. Here's another one. Now, I don't know what kind of vessel. This one, I don't know if this one repeats. Yeah, this one might come up again. And again, this one looks actually kind of worn too. It's hard for me to make out the detail. Maybe there's too much sun reflecting off the white. The color, the sandstone or whatever this is. But again, crouched in, has to fit in. He's carrying some sort of vessel. And again, once again, if anybody has any insight into Greek myth and what any of this could mean, please share. Even if it's privately, I would love to hear about it. Here's the Beehive again. So the Beehive, I think, may be the first to repeat. After the Beehive, we have, and this is so high that I can't get a good center image of, we have a fasces with a bundle of wheat. And now the interesting thing was, it's funny now, after the whole Tartaria thing happened, I have to now be dealing with fasces so much. It's like the third or fourth time they've come up. But so I did a little looking, I did a little digging, and I could not find another image of a double-axed fasce. I could find the double axe, but I could not find one where it was double, where there was two at the top and bottom, which is very interesting. I could not find one. If anyone else can find one, please, I'd love to see one. So, the fasces has its own symbolic meaning, of imperial rule, like but I want to know I couldn't find anything, I searched a bunch of times for, not a bunch of times, maybe twice, let's be honest, but I did search for, wheat and fasces symbolism, and I couldn't come up with anything together. So, again, interesting that it's on the side of this building. What is the story what's being told here? Now, I don't know, maybe I'm bouncing around left and right too much. I don't know. This one's next. I will go and maybe I'll make a movie of these. I wish I thought about it. I don't know what's going on with this guy. He looks a little worn. It's hard to make out the detail of what's happening here. Do see some triangles here. I don't know what this could be behind him. He kind of has almost like, it's looking like he's wearing a wreath, maybe. A crown of wreaths, maybe? I don't know. Maybe it's just my overactive imagination. But you can see how weathered some of this stuff is. And when I see other stuff that was done earlier, like my police station people, you know, not as worn as that. Why? What caused this to be as worn? So moving along, another Beehive. Again, that's why I think maybe I might have got this in order. I don't think the Beehive is quite that prevalent. See, now we have this one. I can't tell if this is, this looks more like female breasts to me. But again, maybe I don't know why. So it makes me think that she's a woman, or this is a woman. Even with the hairstyle here. But holding this looks to be like the Capitol, like the top of the Capitol building, and that kind of dome. And I don't know what this represents, but the legs are here, and draping this robe or whatever. So I don't know. It's hard to tell what this is, the fat double axed, quadruple axed fascies. And it's interesting the way that the leaves turn to face each bubble and then turn away to the next bubble. I like that too, that symmetry. So yeah, now I'm at the top, I think. All right, coming back down. This guy's unique. I don't know. He might be on the other door because there's another door. I don't know what's going on. Look at the way his leg is, right? This has to represent his leg back here. How could this possibly be comfortable for this guy? what? And he's got a rainbow behind him, and this almost looks like a wig to me, like the way those Egyptian wigs were stylized. Maybe we got a little Egyptian, like a Greco-Egyptian. What was that? The Ptolemaic. I don't know what these tools are. Again, what is this story telling us? Because it is telling us a story. I have no idea. I've got no answers, but maybe together we can find out what this story is. I think wouldn't that be amazing? This guy, I don't know what he's working on. Oh, but this is what really blew my mind the first time I looked at these pictures. This has the date of 1822 on it. And now they told us that the building was built in 1929. 1928, 1929. What has he got going on over here? This could be interpreted as one of those early steam train things, right? Which would kind of make sense, except of course that this was a building being built for bankers, the Baltimore Trust, and not the Baltimore Railroad, not the Baltimore Ohio Railroad. But that's what this makes me, or it could be something else. I don't know. But it's interesting that it says 1822. Now, off the top of my head, I can't remember when the B&O Railroad was incorporated, but I think it was later. I think it was like 1830 or 1828. Is that an 8 or a 2? No, that's a 2. So interesting. Why is this year there? So that needs to, I don't have good recall. This year is not jumping to mind with Baltimore and me for whatever reason. Not like 1830 would. So very interesting, Who knows? Maybe this building was actually built in 1822. Wouldn't that be an amazing catch right there? But probably it signifies whatever's going on over here. But you don't know, right? And this is the only one that has a date. And I don't think this guy gets repeated anywhere else. I could be wrong about that, though. And again, with the winged hourglass, and then the wheat with this one looks like it has more detailing. It's not as weathered. Maybe that's not wheat. I don't know. This guy is interesting because he has a scepter or a fasces of some sort, but it only has the single snake, right? It only has the single snake. It doesn't have the double, which is kind of interesting. I don't think I've ever seen the staff with a coiled snake that it wasn't double. I don't know. And he is looking through something. Like, he's looking through like a telescope or a microscope, and this beard here kind of has that maybe even earlier than Greek kind of look, and it's almost like he's wearing a helmet here. I don't know, but again, there's with the figures, I think there's always some form of arch, whether it's inverted or not. That one figure had an inverted arch. Interesting. Here's another one it's hard to tell. Are these just pecs or is this a woman? I don't know. But it's interesting because he has like a carved ray design in there, which is unique. I don't know if this one is repeated anywhere. 2 vessels. Who knows what could be in them? Wine, honey. Super interesting. Beehive again. Oh, and here we go. This one I love because we have, again, either a rainbow or an arc. Right? I love this hack. It just to me brings about the Gordon Fisherman, but there's no way. Right? But carrying this boat, and so which boat is this? I don't think we can see. Is this what were they? The Ark and the Dove, right? Were the 2 boats that Cecil sent over here, and I can't wait to get deeper into the Calverts. And one thing I've realized is that I have to redo my Falcon's Maze episodes, and do them right, because there's so much great information that's going to come from that. It just blows my mind what those Calverts were up to. It's really incredible. So I thought this was interesting too, and he has like an angered look, right? Doesn't he look angry? What's he so mad about? So continuing on, the Hourglass again. Let's get away from this. All right, we're going to get to that door, but I'm going to go back. We're going to talk about the door, but I want to talk about, I did do a little digging because I didn't understand the references, to that well, right? And so I did a little. Let's start with this one actually. A symbol of Freemasonry, the hourglass. The winged hourglass has appeared in many 18th century Masonic exposés and on early tracing boards. The symbol represents mortality, the sands of time slipping away to the bottom of the glass. Time flies, and the symbol can be placed next to the many other symbols of mortality, such as the skull and crossbones, the scythe, and the coffin. However, the hourglass can be turned over, and the sands of time can once more run through the glass. It was a popular image on gravestones and appeared in artwork associated with alchemists, magic, and the mystery of knowledge, right? Such as can be seen in this, which dates from 1815-14. Evidence for the use of the hourglass as a powerful pre-Union Masonic symbol can be found in the memoirs of James Miller, the last surviving member of the, I'm going to say, Wigan Grand Lodge, which was the last remnants of the, this says ancients, maybe that means ancients, but ancients in England. Miller wrote about the tracing board used in the ritual. I only remember one tracing board. It was a piece of canvas about 4 foot square. On it were painted the 3 steps: pot of incense, beehive, book of constitutions with Tyler's sword, all-seeing eye, sword pointing to a naked heart, anchor and arc, 47th problem of Euclid. I wonder what that is. The hourglass and sky. So I wonder, see now putting this together, maybe the fasces is representative of the scythe? The sieve, rather? I'm always so phonetic. When the last lodge under Wigan, the Lodge of Sincerity, returned to the United Grand Lodge of England in 1913, the tracing board, along with many of the symbols mentioned in the memoirs, became lost. So that's interesting. Nope, wrong one. The hourglass was one of the earliest timekeeping devices, right? Duh. If the hourglass forces us to acknowledge the transient, ever-changing nature of our lives. In addition to time-related themes, the hourglass is synonymous with cycles and balance, which I think is an interesting connection when considering the idea of there being resets. Ancient alchemists recognized the concept of balance in the hourglass. Its very shape is made up of triangles, balancing each other out. Alchemists interpreted these triangles as representing two aspects of nature, the upper being the sky and the lower equating with earth, which is interesting, sky and earth, all right? And the triangles. And there's also, the feminine, with the hourglass, the curved shape, and and it could also as a duality, male female, the male on top and or underneath rather, and and also with the two triangle symbolism, you push those two triangles together, you get a Star of David. I mean, it goes every which way, so much meaning in an hourglass that I never really considered before. And I love that the hourglass has wings, making time fly well before the first alarm clock joke, I'm sure. Another common theme is inevitability, which I think is also interesting. It was inevitable, either inevitable that the reset would happen and these masons or whoever that those people would build the building. It was inevitable that they would build it, or it's inevitable that these things will happen again. Crazy. Let's see. Now, I'm not going to read from this one, but I am going to. This article is amazing. It's just very dense, and it goes into the symbolism of the hourglass and like Christian symbolism and religious stuff. It's a great read, but just too much for me to try to put forth in the episode. So please, I'm gonna try to remember to do links for this one. This article is well worth the read. So then I wanted to go into like the Beehive because I didn't really understand the bees that much, right? And I have, but let me, so let's talk about the bees for a second. I love this is Freemason information, how may I direct your call? The Beehive, please. And I love how advertisement heavy it is. It just cracks me up. It's just so darn funny to me. In this episode, and I love that they refer to it as episodes because I love that. That's what I like to think of, episodes of symbols and symbols. We examine Masonic symbol of the Beehive. Mackey calls it a symbol of an obedient people, which I think is interesting. All right, because that's what they want us to be. They want us to be obedient people. In Masonic parlance, the symbol is more recognizable as an emblem of industry. The Master Mason degree says of the Beehive that is an emblem of industry. See, I have to repeat. Why do I have to repeat myself? You writers are terrible, making me repeat myself all the time. All right. Because the Beehive is an emblem. It recommends the practice of that virtue to all created beings, from the highest seraph in heaven to the lowest reptile of the dust. So what they're saying is that everybody's a worker and everybody has a job. You do your job, which goes right back to the Patriot Dynasty. My goodness. Oh my God. Symbol of, right? It says it was among the Egyptians the symbol of obedient people because he quotes all of insects. The bee alone had a king, which we now know to be a queen. Looking at the regulated labor of these insects when congregated in their hive, right? So that's what they write, And then what do we have? We have a queen, or the monarch is set up under the kings and queens, right? Which kind of gets downplayed. And, I know, so there's something to these bloodlines and and us as people and the population explosion. The story is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And I'm sure many of you can kind of see where this is leading. But I hope it takes us in some very interesting directions. There seems, however, to be a more recondite meaning connected with this symbol. The ark has already been shown to have been an emblem common, so they're going to tie the beehive with the ark, right? So the ark is the beehive, the symbol of regeneration, the second birth from death to life. The hive is a type of ark, right? Both the Diluvian priestesses and the regenerated souls were called bees. Hence, bees were feigned to be produced from the carcass of a cow, which also symbolized the ark, and hence, as the Great Father was esteemed an infernal god. Honey was made use both in funeral rites and in the mysteries. Crazy, right? Going back to the pre-Diluvian times, right? That's the times of the mythology and stuff like that. I do have, nope, not this one. There's another great article which has some really good information about the bee, right? The sacred bee, right? Ancient Greece and Rome. And bees played an essential role in Greek and Roman religious traditions. And the honey they produce may have symbolic meanings. They also feature in many stories, right? So, Kronos, the Titan who wanted to kill, I guess he was a Titan, right? Kronos, the father of Zeus, wished to destroy him. So Zeus's mother smuggled him off to a secret cave on Mount Dicta. Dicta? I don't know. The cave was populated by sacred bees, which fed the infant god honey. Zeus remained in the cave until he was grown, then dethroned his father, becoming the new king of the gods. Zeus's title, one of Zeus's title, is Melisios, or Bee Man, which is interesting that Melissa today is is so feminine, to have such a masculine origin. Zeus later rewarded the bees for their assistance by making them bright gold in color and strong enough to resist cold and winds. And you think it's interesting how light bees are. They can resist wind with their microfilm feathers, Dionysus was raised in a cave and fed on honey. Today he's viewed as and this is what's interesting here. Today he's viewed as god of wine, but his worship came earlier than wine. So he was worshipped before they were making wine, which is interesting, at least according to this, right? From the time when mead was the major alcoholic beverage. And mead, I guess, came from honey, right? After the wine took the place of mead, honey remained sacred to Dionysus. His followers had ivy-wrapped wands from which honey flowed. Interesting. He was also credited with being the creator of beekeeping. Another interesting fact, right? The Muses were often connected with bees, right? Which were called the birds of the... So bees were the birds of the Muses, right? Let's talk about the birds and the bees. Talking about life, right? Talking about, repopulation, and creating a labor force, They gave mortals the gift of eloquence by sending bees to place honey on their lips, right? The gift of speech comes from the Muses who send bees to put honey on our lips. It's amazing. What a great story. To make their voices sweet, right? I don't need to hear what the Greek poet wrote. Let's move this thing along. Bees also tended to be associated with the underworld, with the souls of the dead. This was likely because wild hives are often located in cracks in rock walls or caves, which were imagined to be entrances to the underworld. Various Greek philosophers believed that humans could be reincarnated as bees, or that the bees were the souls of those who had not yet been born. Another interesting idea. Honey was a beloved food of the gods. Sometimes nymphs were referred to as bees because they were believed to be reincarnated souls. Honey was a beloved food of the gods. Ambrosia and nectar, the foods which grant immortality to the gods when they eat them, were generally considered to be similar to honey or mead. Now it's interesting, all this rebirth symbolism, and the flood, and but then to have the honey symbolism and the bees, but then immortality also represented in the gods. So how is it that the gods can get immortality from honey, but not us? Interesting. So, those could be interesting facts to that. And I remember I've been watching a lot of my friend Tom Carberry's research recently, like like a week or so ago, and I binge watched a bunch of it, and I knew he talked about bees in there, and so he was kind enough to refresh my memory as to which video it was in, and but one thing, and it's video 19, and I will say again, if you haven't checked out the information that Tom Carberry's putting out, then do so. This is an amazing story he's putting together over there, and I'm actually going to read something here. He starts, it doesn't quite start, but early on in this video, he brings in a quote, and I think it was and I would love to have him read it, but it would just echo. I haven't figured out how to fix that yet. I don't want the echo. So I'm actually going to read a little bit from before this. It says, "And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness." And that last line it's trouble for me. That line is big trouble for me. But so the line. So in this, the second letter of Paul to the Thessalonians is in the New Testament, or at least it's in my New Testament. And I'm going to start from chapter 2, verse 7, and he starts with verse 11. All right? And it says, "For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains it will do so until he is out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, and the Lord Jesus will slay him with the breath of his mouth and destroy him by his appearing and his coming. The coming of the lawless one by the activity of Satan will be with all power and with pretended signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are to perish, because they refused to love the truth and so be saved. Therefore God sends upon them a strong delusion to make them believe that is what is false, so that all may be condemned who do not believe the truth but had pleasure in unrighteousness." Now that's kind of amazing. Not so much for for the judgment aspect of it, and because again, I'm not certain so much how. If God is, God has sent a strong delusion for only the righteous to see through. Okay, and now that's a veiled message because, we, at least my research, the way it brings me, the story of Yahweh and God in the Bible as it's presented is just still more metaphor and parable. All right, for whoever it is that has created us. It's just more diversion to follow, it brings us further from the truth. But I do love the concept that, because here it is, it's talking about that our creators have created delusions for us to believe lies, right? And they work hard at that, right? So I'm going to continue because there's a couple of other, he brings up a point in here about bees, and they're yellow and black in connection to the chevrons here, which create the sevens, which, again, I pointed out were in that building. The sevens are part of that script along the B&O Railroad, the backwards and forwards. And the color of the bees. And Zeus, I think, did I read it? I can't remember. Zeus rewards the bees by giving them the color of black and white, like is the color of this chevron for I can't who was it, Tom? uh, who was it for? Please check out his information. It's so much great stuff, and that story definitely is going to connect Mud City and the story that Tom has going over there are definitely connecting right here. I mean, it's coming all over the place. So I wanted to bring in now the black and the white as part of the Calverts. And again, that's is why I'm going to have to redo the whole Falcon's Maze thing, which is great because one of the reasons I did it the way I did is it created a nice first draft for something for me to reference and use to create something better going forward. But the black and yellow, like the bees, right? And then we have the big cats, like the lion faces on the side of the B&O, right? And, what do the big cats have to do with Ireland? And, because this is where Calvert came from, and why is he Lord Baltimore? And, we know the red and white has everything to do, at least the way I started painting it early on, has things to do with the uncovering of the mud, right? And the job that the charter house is in charge of some of that, right? And that's going to go back. I'm going to bring the story way back. It's really dense, but, so here it is in the coat of arms of the Calverts, the Lords Baltimore, the Barons, the animal symbolism, the yellow and the black, which could be bees. We got the honey all over that other building, all over the building. So that was a nice little detour, very interesting, the connections that can be made. And again, and I think, and again, I don't want to disparage anybody's work or anything like this, but it's the more I'm seeing it, practically, like going out and seeing, like I saw it all over Asheville, I'm seeing it all over Baltimore now. I'm sure if I were to go to other cities like Boston and New York, and I can't wait, Philadelphia will be a trip that will happen this spring, no doubt about it. And I'll do some Philadelphia mud flooding. So anyway, let's look at this door and what the door tells us now, right? And I have really horrible pictures of this door, but it does say on the side, remember, Under Armour, right? Under Armour has facilities. I did peek in, I didn't take a picture, but this is open, and you can see the lobby inside, which is very tall, very high ceiling, just like they said. And I hope to, I wonder if it's open to the public. I didn't wander in this morning, that morning. So let's get up close, shall we? And then I can wind this one down. So here are the grapes. We see the grapes, right? And Dionysus, which goes back to Orpheus, who's on Fort McHenry, right? I mean, the Greek Roman symbolism just can't be overstressed in the architecture that we're seeing connected to the time frame they're telling us that it was built. It just, I'm just confused about that, right? And here this almost kind of looks like honeycomb at first to me, but when you get up on it, it's the Tudor roses, right? And nice formations, and look, here they are. They swirl out of the door into the Fibonacci. All over these doors, everywhere. The Tudor flowers spiral out into the Fibonacci, all right? And so let's go back to the full shot of the door real quick. So these patterns, they alternate, right? Up the sides, almost like a slot machine, kind of, right? And the same pattern appears on, in these two stripes and these two stripes. I don't know if the pattern is different on the other door. I can't remember. Let's go. So here's the pattern, right? We have this strange bundle of wheat. I don't know if that's wheat or not. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know what that is. It's really interesting. So if anybody has, I mean, it's got a mushroom shape, but I don't think that's a mushroom because it's tied. Here we have like some wheat or some other flower symbolism. Wait a minute, did I see that right? See again, right at the crest. Here's your chevrons, right? With the sevens in them. unbelievable. I just, Tom, I would never notice that was a chevron if I didn't check up on your video again this morning. And then the next symbol up is the phoenix, which is interesting. You don't see too much phoenix symbolism. You do see griffins and things like that, but at least I don't see that much around here. Well, maybe, who knows? Maybe I see it all the time and I'm talking out my ass, which I tend to do often. Here, I don't know what this is, but to me, it's a lamp, right? It's Aladdin's lamp. Yeah, just look at, with maybe a bird head on one side and a torch on the other, and a chain. Again surrounded by. And these look like acorns here now. But it can't be denied. And the work, the craftsmanship, and everything's so great. This is all metal. I don't know if it's copper or not, but going up the top, we have. Here's the double snakes with the. See, that's what this is exactly what the Mercury is holding, and I don't know. They call it commerce, but this is medicine, right? And again, interesting that the B&O Railroad Museum statue holds this, and then this is on the doors of the Baltimore Trust building, which is across the street, not the same building at all. I mean, there are just flowers everywhere in the 5-point pattern, with the Fibonacci. Crazy. Here's your compass and I like this one because you don't often see it with the full triangle. It's usually open. The square is open. And so again we have, then there's the Beehive, all right, and the compass and the square, and the medicine, right, the double helix. Here we have the single fascie with the wheat, right? And again, the rose that spirals out. It's everywhere. I've said, how many times have I said the rose that spirals out? 1 billion times, right? And every time it's amazing to me. It doesn't look at it, it's like hypnotic to look at that thing. Let's see, is the same symbols on, no, so we have justice over here with the lamp, and with the fascies and the wheat. Again, this work is mostly the same in all of them. I don't think it varies too much, but it's like they had to tack this on, right? Please use Light Street entrance. It's just amazing, amazing. And interesting that the scales of justice are here when this building was designed to be a bank. See, this is the entrance I read. That's how many pictures I took of this doorway before I walked across the street to take a full shot. I mean, who knows what people walking by and driving by thought of me. My phone was, I was all up in this business as much as I could be. Let's see. So I took a couple and tried to maybe get one without. So the work along the top is interesting. We have this horse here, which does kind of have a representative unicorn, but I don't think that this horse was supposed to be a unicorn. This is like a saber underneath the horse head here, I think. Do not quote me on that. There are two types of owls. There's this owl that go across, right? Look at the flower here. This one has a little more fleur-de-lis element to it. And then there's this owl, which has more of like a bearish or perhaps a big cattish kind of face, like an owl with a cat head. And they go along, and the one end has the boat. I don't know which ark they intend this to be. Could it be the Ark or the Dove or some other boat? But if we're talking Baltimore, you want to believe it's the Ark or the Dove. It's an interesting question. What did Noah ever christen his ark? Did they ever give it a name in the Bible? I never thought about that before. That's amazing. See, here's the flower, which turns into the spiral, but it's got like a fleur-de-lis look to it, right? But again, so This is the pattern. It just goes across. It's just versions of this. Oh, and I still have others to show you yet. So, let's keep. I don't know how long this one has been going on. What's the time? It's going to be time for me to leave. I'm not even going to get to edit this stuff. See, cat head or bear head and the owl. I wish I didn't I just thought these were flagpoles. I didn't appreciate that they were figureheads. These are feline figureheads coming out of a starburst off the side that hold, ostensibly, I guess, which is supposed to be a flagpole, but I can't help but notice how it looks like a cannon. I wish I got up closer on those. I didn't really pay that close attention to them. They were shiny and bright, and that's why I just kind of thought they were just golden flagpoles. I didn't think, for whatever reason, I wasn't paying attention enough to notice. Or maybe I did notice and just forgot. Yeah, I don't know. But they're great, you know. And we also there's the train, again, on a building that wasn't meant to be for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. So maybe they played, you know, musical chairs with some of these buildings. You know, it's just interesting. Why would the Baltimore Trust building, which didn't open until the Baltimore, which didn't open until 1929, have a B&O Railroad symbol on it? You know, there's something wrong here. The story doesn't jibe with the modern stuff. Look, here's like a Parthenon. There's a Greek thing going on there. I hope you guys are enjoying this. We got the Tudor Rose on the side, but look, I want to point out this one, which is great, because inside the petals, doesn't it look like little sleeping babies? And that's going to tie in too with the birthing and the population boom. You know, I've got some interesting ideas coming up. All right, now that I've noticed the time, I have to get to the doorway. And let's see. I'm just going to breeze through these guys fast. We've seen him. Seen it. Seen it. I think we've seen them all. I'm going under the precept that there's no new... wait a minute. As I did... Yeah, no, that's... We've seen him. Goes up, and this is on the front, but the front has a big awning on it that I couldn't really work. But now there's more of this. There was another window that had this, like a big window that had this kind of ornamentation on it. And again, the flower that goes into Fibonacci. We got some herrings or herons or something up here. I don't know what kind of bird that is. You know, you can make all kinds of things out of this. Again, active imaginations can work wonders in here. And here's along the side, they have owls stacked on top of each other, right? Which I think is cool. And look at on top. Look at what this owl has. Like, I don't know if this is there an owl in nature that has this kind of feathering or what? You know, what's going on with this owl? And this one down below, right? Again, this one has Fibonacci spiral eyes, you know, kind of crazy. We got some seashell images going on over here. You know, this is not cool. This is a different flower. I don't know what kind of flower. There's some slightly different flowering, but again, they all spiral. They all do that. You got your, you got your Masonic stuff going on here, and all over this building. And then there's like a hawk or something at the top of this one. I don't think I got and I'm rushing through now, guys, because I want to get these done. I've been at this probably for 2 hours minimum between all three videos. And this is the other side of it. You know, we get the crab. The Maryland crab gets in there, you know, which is awesome. The blue crab, Chesapeake crab, it's so delicious with some seashells. You know, when you're eating crab, shell happens, man. No doubt about it. And this I thought was interesting. It's now, at first I thought maybe these were grapes, but now I'm thinking this is beehive symbolism. And we have some sun symbolism here. Is that grapes, beehives, honeycombs? So many questions now. And there's the other side. So there's 3 sets of owls, I guess, on it. And that's it. Okay. So that's my presentation on my walk. What happens to me, I'm so grateful that I got to finally. It seems like it's been so long. So I finally got to go out and make Baltimore the star of the show the way I want it to be, the way I want the city to be. It's tough. So that was my presentation of let's get to the of just what I can find in downtown Baltimore and like a 4-block radius. Let's get where did I start? Not quite here, not quite there. Now I'm too far away, but from over here to over here, not far. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this super long 3-part presentation. I'm very curious to see how long it took me. This is going to be it. I know I have to do a little bit of editing, so I'm not going to get it out this afternoon. It might be tonight or tomorrow morning. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. There's so much good. The story's going crazy. Once I bring in the Calverts and the religion and the carols again, I just don't know how to do it. And now I understand they're going to be cracking down on content of this kind. So there's some other stories I want to tell that I may rush into, and I may look to start broadcasting on other platforms. I don't know. But anyway, so please, guys, please take care of yourselves, and each other. And until the next one, cheers.